Woman snaps pic after spotting what waitress is doing to elderly man's food. Casey was calmly sipping her coffee during a busy breakfast time, watching the people around her. While looking over her coffee cup, she saw something happening at the breakfast counter that surprised her. Even though no one else seemed to notice what the waitress was doing, Casey did. Now that she had witnessed it, she decided to get evidence. She quickly made up her mind and took out her phone. A strong intuition struck Casey Walton as she sat in her usual spot at Denny's. Although she frequented the restaurant often, this was an entirely new experience. A waitress was tampering with an elderly customer's food, leaving Casey in shock. The waitress cautiously glanced around to ensure no one was observing her actions. She then started meddling with a man's plate. Little did she realize that Casey had witnessed the entire incident. Keisha Jackson was 18 years old and had worked as a waitress at a Denny's in Atlanta, Georgia for a while. She had long shifts and saved every bit of money for college. Some days were tough. Little did Keisha know that her actions that day would have significant consequences, and she was unaware that someone had been secretly observing and documenting her every action. One particular morning was super busy for Keisha. Denny's was really crowded with lots of people coming in for breakfast. Keisha had a tough time getting the food out quickly because there were so many orders. At first she was doing well, but things got even busier as more dishes were ready to be served and unexpected challenges came up. Archie Montgomery sat at the breakfast counter, but Casey didn't know who he was. The restaurant staff in town knew him well and even had a nickname for him. Casey silently observed as he leaned over to Keisha and whispered something in her ear. What were the two talking about? Casey was intrigued. It looked serious. Just then, the cook called out to Keisha from the kitchen, but she was so focused on the man's whispers she didn't hear him. With problems in the kitchen, Keisha and Archie were unaware of the commotion. Casey discreetly leaned in to overhear what the old man was saying to Keisha, but it was no use. She wasn't close enough. Casey observed the elderly man who was having difficulty breathing and had an oxygen tank with him. She saw Keisha lean in to listen closely to him, and this marked a turning point in her life. Despite the chef calling her from the kitchen, Keisha paid no attention. The surprised expression on her face revealed everything. With an odd expression, Keisha kept ignoring the kitchen's calls and other diners who were trying to get her attention. Then she made a daring move by taking the old man's plate of ham. What she did to his food left Casey surprised. This kind of behavior from servers was unfamiliar to Casey, but she knew she had to take action. Casey really wanted to know what the old man had whispered to the waitress, but all she could do was guess from Keisha's response. Keisha seemed focused on her work, occasionally looking around, perhaps to see if anyone was watching. Her expression appeared somewhat scared but also proud. However, Casey wasn't someone to just leave things be. She quietly reached into her handbag and took out her phone with one hand. Casey gathered proof she needed by taking discreet photos with the flash turned off. Little did she know that these photos would make both Keisha and herself well known. Her view was partially blocked by the man in front, but she could still see Keisha's arms moving rapidly. Casey was determined to let everyone know what had occurred at Denny's that day. The man closely observed what Keisha was doing, and Casey noticed his breathing sped up when she finished and pushed the plate back to him. Casey couldn't see the man's face, but she could see Keisha's big bright smile as she glanced at him. Then he picked up his fork. Something was up. There was no way she was going to let the waitress go unnoticed. Never before had she witnessed this, and because of that, the waitress was going to get what she deserved. With everything that was going on in the world, Casey wanted to expose the waitress. This was something that would not be taken lightly, and Casey would see that. Other patrons began to notice the unusual exchange between Keisha and the elderly man. Whispers and murmurs spread through the restaurant like wildfire. Casey could hear snippets of conversation from nearby tables as people discussed what they thought they just witnessed. But she had it all on camera and couldn't wait to post it. Some people kept staring at the pair, and others also began taking out their phones to record the interaction between the two. Casey thought she was the only one who had noticed it. At that point, she was glad that others saw what she saw. That way, it could be backed up if someone were to deny the truth. Casey was relieved that it hadn't gone unnoticed. It was something huge, and when she would eventually post the photos and video online, she knew what it would mean for the waitress and her job at Denny's. She didn't want to cause any unnecessary fuss, but the truth needed to be revealed. She hadn't seen something like this in a long time, and it needed to be exposed for what it was. Casey continued to watch the two as they secretly recorded another interaction. They spoke in hushed tones as if the waitress didn't want anyone else to hear them. But it was too late for that. Even though Casey wasn't close enough to get any audio, she was close enough to capture their actions, and now it was time to post it. In all honesty, Casey felt a little sorry for the waitress. She had no idea what was coming her way. Casey wasn't sure how sheer the management of Denny's was going to react to what she was about to do, but she hoped it would bring more awareness. Hopefully, people would sit up and take notice. Next, the man said something to Keisha that brought tears to Casey's eyes. She quickly went through the photos she had taken and posted the best one on Facebook. While she was getting ready to ask for the bill and leave, her phone started beeping repeatedly. Now, Keisha had become well known on Facebook whether she liked it or not. There was no way to undo it. However, what Keisha wasn't aware of was that Casey wasn't the only one capturing her actions that day. Keisha had acted on instinct, unaware that someone was observing her. She didn't pay attention to the kitchen staff or other customers, determined to complete her task. Both the restaurant security camera and Casey had recorded the entire incident. When she finished altering Archie's food, he apologized, saying, "I'm sorry, dear, my hands are old and sore, they don't work well." Casey was deeply saddened when Archie spoke those words to his server. She continued to observe as Keisha helped the man with his food and then went about her other tasks. Casey was so moved by Keisha's kind gesture that she felt compelled to post it on Facebook. What would people on the internet think about it? Casey Walton's post said, "She didn't hesitate. She took his plate and started cutting his ham. It may seem small, but I'm sure it meant a lot to him. I'm grateful to witness such a kind and caring act at the beginning of my day, especially in a world filled with negativity." Not long after, her post became very popular, with 150,000 likes and 87,000 shares. But the public's interest in the waitress didn't stop there. As the post gained traction on social media, it quickly caught the attention of local news outlets. Reporters began reaching out to Casey to learn more about the remarkable incident at Denny's, and as the story unfolded, it reached Keisha herself. She was initially shocked when she learned that her actions were recorded and shared on the internet. She worried about the consequences, thinking she might lose her job for not following proper restaurant procedures. But her fears soon turned into amazement when she saw the outpouring of support and praise from people who had seen the video. The next morning, Keisha arrived at work, anxious about her job's fate. However, she was greeted with applause and cheers from her coworkers and regular customers. They saw her as a local hero, someone who had done a small yet heartwarming act of kindness that had touched the hearts of many. Word had spread quickly, and Denny's had become a bustling place as people came to meet Keisha, the waitress with a heart of gold. She became an overnight sensation, a symbol of kindness in a world that often seemed filled with negativity. Casey and Keisha had an unexpected meeting at the restaurant after the video had gone viral. The two connected, and Casey shared her story and how she had initially misunderstood the situation. Keisha in turn explained that she had been serving Archie for years. He was a regular customer who had lost his wife recently, and Keisha felt compelled to help him when she learned about his struggles. Their conversation blossomed into a newfound friendship. The heartwarming story of Keisha's act of kindness continued to spread far and wide, inspiring people to pay it forward. It became a local movement, with individuals and businesses joining in to perform acts of kindness for those in need. Keisha's actions had a ripple effect, proving that a small act of compassion can make a big difference in someone's life and inspire a community to come together for the better. In the midst of the attention, Keisha and Casey became advocates for compassion and kindness. They visited local schools, sharing their story and encouraging students to look for opportunities to help others. The story served as a valuable lesson, teaching people that kindness could be found in the most unexpected places and that even small gestures could have a profound impact on someone's life. Archie Montgomery was overwhelmed by the sudden turn of events. He too became a local celebrity, known for his resilience and his friendship with Keisha. He felt immense gratitude for Keisha's help and the attention the story had brought to the importance of compassion in daily life. He continued to visit Denny's regularly, where Keisha would serve him with a warm smile and continued to cut his ham, forging a friendship that was bound by the unspoken understanding of the human heart. As Keisha's story continued to inspire others, it highlighted the positive influence of social media in amplifying acts of kindness. People from around the world reached out to share their own stories and express their appreciation for the small acts of compassion that often went unnoticed. The viral video served as a reminder that in a digital age, stories of human connection and empathy could spread like wildfire, uniting people across borders and backgrounds. Keisha's simple act of kindness had left an indelible mark on her community. Denny's, once just a restaurant where people came to eat, had transformed into a place where people came to connect and share in the spirit of giving. It was a testament to the fact that one person's actions could have a profound impact, creating a lasting legacy of compassion, understanding, and unity in a world that so desperately needed it. The story of Keisha, Casey, and Archie served as a reminder that in a world filled with challenges, acts of kindness could light the way. It showed that sometimes even a simple act could make a world of difference in someone's life. As the months went by, the story continued to inspire acts of compassion and connection throughout the community, proving that the ripple of kindness could have a far-reaching and lasting impact on the world.